Can you review this podcast?
You all good? Hello. Hold on. Let me make sure. Lord help me if bada boom, bada bing. All right. Say a couple words.
Okay.
Oh,
Hey, how's
and
everybody doing?
there we go. Hello. Thank you for joining in.
Yeah, of course. It's my favorite subject. Come on.
I am so excited because I have not been able to find anybody who actually wanted to play this game. I hear people talk about it all the time. So I was like, okay, maybe this is just one of those little hidden gems. No, and then I see your feed, and then it's just, oh yeah, Yakuza this, Majima that. Like, yes,
for sure.
Finally, somebody who knows what the hell I'm talking about 90% of the time.
So, how did you find the series? Just out of curiosity. I'm always wondering.
I found this. So I've been playing video games for God knows fucking how long at this point. But I would always hear about Yakuza being one of the top beat 'em ups, and I never really gave it a chance because wasn't really a fan of it. The only beat 'em up that I really knew was Devil May Cry.
Sure.
So I was like, okay, whatever. I'm not a fan of it. I'm not going to give it a try. Well, they had what was it, like a Dragon Gaiden? They had that on Game Pass, and I gave it a shot. And obviously, where in the timeline that game is set, no fucking idea what's going on. Not a single thing.
Exactly. Yeah, there's a lot of backstory to get to that point for sure.
I'm so salty about that. So I stopped it, and I didn't pick it up. And I seen it. I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna give Yakuza 0 a try because it looks cool. It looks fun. I seen some videos on TikTok about it. I wanted to give it a try immediately. Picked it up. Did not put it down. Did not stop it. Just burned through that entire game. So I thought, oh, there's 0. So, I maybe got, 2, maybe 3 at tops. No, there's like 7. There's 7 games that I have to play through.
Yep. And they all connect, yeah. It's not like, I don't know. There's like plenty of series that like, oh, maybe it goes 2 or 3. And then like Devil May Cry. And then it reboots. I think it was after 4. Was it 4 that it rebooted? So I'm like, it's not like you can just jump in. I mean, 7 gives you that opportunity, but there's still so much history, right? That they reference in 7 that it's still like, I don't know who any of these people are that keep popping up that I feel like I should know, but
Right.
So I'm always like 0, excellent starting point. Go there, get through some of the difficulties of 3. It's a good game, but it's hard to play. It is.
Okay. All right. So I want to start this off. I want you to elevator pitch 3 for me. Tell me why I should play this fucking game.
Okay. I think 3 is so important to the story of Kiryu's relationship with the kids at the orphanage, right? You get such a good opportunity to get to know and like care about these kids and like understand their connection so much more. I think going forward, that's important, right? Because, even like showing in 6, Kiryu sacrifices so much to make sure these kids are safe, right? And they don't stop coming up.
No, not even in 6. They keep going in 6 too.
Yep. I mean, they are a continuing theme. So like that story is centralized on his relationship with those kids, right?
Right. Okay, I get to
know them.
I see. I understand how important they are to the series.
Mm-hmm.
I get that, but the gameplay itself is what automatically just makes me not want to play it.
My hope is they Kiwami 3, and then it'll be much more enjoyable, and then you can play it, and it'll be great.
Like I said, if they Kiwami 3 it, I will give it a chance. Wholesale, I will give it another chance.
I know there's some hate because it is more like centralized on, that relationship, and some people think it's boring, they hate the orphanage part, whatever. I think it's so important fundamentally to who Kiryu is, right? As a person, what's important to him and why he kind of goes through and does what he does in the following games, right?
Okay, but see, it's like that was my beef. Is it wasn't the problem that it was the orphanage. Like the story,
Mhm.
I watched a video that explained the whole story. The story
Sure.
wasn't the problem. Like it was the gameplay. It was
And that's
the quests that seemed to have like no specific go to, or every
yeah.
time I would try and go through a fight, I'd get one punch and then just get hit with block after block after block and not able
Yeah.
to get through any of it. It was the gameplay
Yeah.
that really made me stop. Because
Yeah. And that's
in 6 we have Grandpa Kiru, and
uh-huh.
I love the absolute hell out of that story plot.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Yeah.
E-
I
Except for the
do
baby
think
calming mini game that irritated
yeah,
the
oh, I
shit out
know.
of me.
I know. I do think I think 3 is just jarring in general because up until that point, you're playing games on newer engines, right? And they're
Right?
just a lot more responsive, quick, all of that. 3 is really your first foray into the old controls and how clunky and heavy they were. 4, it picks up, it's, improved. Still can be a little clunky, but not as bad as 3. So it's just like, I don't know. It's like almost it's painful because you're used to the more modern like 6-ish controls.
Or if you go from
Beca-
Kiwami 1 and 2 that were more
uh-huh.
polished and had more umph behind them, you were okay.
Exactly.
But then you go to 3, and now all of a sudden, like, the moves seem a little bit more slowed down. They're not so quick and boom, boom, boom. It's like button, then swing.
Right. And if you play like OG like PS2 Yakuza, right?
Oh, God.
3 would feel like an improvement, right? Because it's even clunkier. So it's just like it's all about perspective and like how you're playing the games, right? 0 was newer than, 3 obviously. Even the remaster, it's not like they full went in and fixed the game, right? They, updated some graphics and things, made it look nicer, and that was the remaster. The Kiwamis were like full reworks, right?
You're right,
So
right.
it's just tricky to be like, well, these are so like polished and modern, we'll say. And then you go back to 3 and you're like, oh, it's like going back to a different era.
And I think that was one of my problems when I picked it up, because I had just beaten 2, so I thought, I was like, okay, so going into 3, it's going to be just like, 1 and 2. It's going to be no problem. Oh,
Mhm.
it wasn't. Oh, it wasn't. It
Yeah.
was a major eyesore. And the
Yeah, it was I totally understand. I had the same feelings. I don't know. I was like so I don't the story just got me so that I just kind of knuckled through it. But
it was the Uncle Kiru thing, wasn't it?
hmm?
The Uncle Kiru, is that what
Oh,
got you?
absolutely. Absolutely. I loved it. I would play a whole game of Orphanage Simulator. I would.
I
Kiryu Dad Simulator. I'm in.
Oh, Grandpa Kiru Simulator?
Mhm.
No
Mhm.
problem. I'll play a whole 3-hour game of that.
Absolutely.
All right, so since you asked me, I got to know, what was your introduction to this series?
Okay. My partner. This is going back like gosh, like 10, no more like 13 years. Told me
Oh
about this
shit.
game and it was one of the sub stories. It was Date's daughter, when she's like going to see the guys or whatever.
Yeah,
And
yep.
it was he was talking about the PS2 one. This is my first introduction, and he's like, here the main character asks the girl, does your dad know? Does Date know? And it was the English dub, and it's just like very out of date language today. But it was so funny because it was like so obviously like, no, of course he doesn't know. And so like that was my absolute first introduction. I'm like, okay, what a game. I don't know anything about this. And my partner kept bothering me for years going, would you play these games? You would like these games. He's like, I know they seem like silly, goofy, whatever, but the story is so good. And so it took until I think I tried playing for like a few years. I would start Kiwami. I didn't really get it. I didn't get the leveling, all of that. So like I would put it down. Last year, I don't know, it clicked. And I played through Kiwami 1, Kiwami 2. I went back to 0 and then
Ooh.
did 3, I think. Then Gaiden was coming out. I stopped 3, went and played Gaiden because I was like, well, I don't want spoilers. And so I spoiled my whole playthrough to play Gaiden, get some emotional damage, right? And then went back, did...
I'm not ready, man. Like, there's no part of me that's ready for Gaiden.
And that's like, I didn't even have full context, right? At that point, I went into Gaiden because I was like, it's gonna get spoiled if I wait, right? Because I was like big into like the YAKUZA community at that point, like following people, whatever. So I'm like, I don't want to get spoiled, so I'm gonna go play it. And then I did 4 through 5. I was working on 6. Infinite Wealth came out. I was like, well, I don't want that spoiled. So I went and played Infinite Wealth. Anyway, so my adventure was not linear. I would recommend the linear variety just because you get full context. But
please play it linear.
Yes, don't do what I did. But I was just like, I was so in it that I was like, I gotta know. And like by that point, I was streaming all the games. So I'm like, I don't want somebody to show up and just like drop like plot bomb on me, right? So I'm like,
been my fear.
I'm just gonna.
That has been my fear playing this because I'm all up to date. I've played 0 and I am just trying to get through the story of Like a Dragon before I get Gaiden and then Infinite Wealth. So I'm waiting for the day I see something in chat where it's like, oh, how about da da da? It's like mother.
Yeah. For what it's worth, everyone I've met in the community that like drops into like streams or whatever, wonderful, perfectly nice. Does not want to spoil anything for you.
Oh.
So, I mean, take that.
That's
that.
actually
I mean,
really
there
nice.
is some nasty sides of the community for sure.
Of course, there always is.
So far, everyone I've met while streaming these games, I've made like friends while streaming these games. Like, it's been like a very nice experience.
All right, so we're gonna cherry pick these games now. Which one? We'll just go baseline. Out of
oh my god.
Plot spoil. The games have credits. Well, now I can't play the rest of them. I can't play any more of them.
It's over.
So out of all 6 of them, wait, no, 7. Sorry. Out of all 7 of them, which is one that you would say is peak Yakuza, like your favorite? You would go back to it any day of the week.
0. I've gone back to it. I've played that one. Like started playthroughs over in it. 0 is my absolute favorite. I mean, number 1, Majima gameplay.
Yeah, I figured.
I figured
that was the kicker.
Girly, but
I figured that was that's what got you there, was the Majima gameplay that you could have.
Absolutely. And you know what's so funny? I had no idea anything about Majima when I went into these games. All I knew about was like Kiryu, all that focus. So when I went into Kiwami and there was this guy harassing me the whole game, I was like, you know what? Great. I like this. And then I got to play 0 and I was like, oh, he's a whole person too.
Oh, he has characteristics.
Yeah, that's great.
See, and one of my favorite things that they did with Majima is in the very beginning with 0 is you got to see how he started, but it was very base level. Like you didn't get much in depth to him as a character. But as we got more into 4 and 5, we got to see him fleshed out as an actual Tojo clan family member runner.
Yep.
And it was nice to see him actually get a little bit of story, especially his and Taijima's storyline. The way those two go back and forth, it feels like a buddy cop movie.
For sure. Yeah.
So if they made a game of purely Majima and Taijima in one story, I think I'd play the entire thing, front to back,
Yeah.
100% it.
For sure. I'm curious, speaking futuristically, how Saejima will play, right, into Majima Gaiden, right? Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii, whatever it's called. It's
Do
a
you think
very
they're going to
long
put him in
title.
there?
Because I'm like, I know he's there. He shows up. So
Does
like,
he?
yeah.
Oh, okay. I've watched nothing about the trailer or
Mm-hmm.
anything. So if he does,
I mean, for what it's worth, he almost you feel like he almost has to, right? Because like they have each other's backs, like regardless, right? So like if Majima went missing, I do not believe there's a world where Saejima does not try and find him.
well, that was the plot of 5. Like that was
Right,
the whole
exactly.
thing. Like he thought he died, and he's like, all right, well, guess this is what I got to do now. Like I got to
Yep.
go find him.
This is my life now.
I now have to I have to be the babysitter of a guy with an eye patch that likes to swing a baseball bat around.
Which, you know, with all that, very questionable where he could end up.
And
He's
I'm
a troublemaker, that one.
I am excited to see where that lands, because
Yeah, for
Majima has
sure.
always been an enigma of a character. Because again, I hate to bring up TikTok again, but
Mhm.
a lot of people point out things. It pointed out that when Majima is by himself, he is a very I want to say chaotic neutral character.
Mm-hmm.
Like he doesn't follow a set of rules, but he has a very very strict moral code that he likes to follow.
Yes.
And that's just when he's by himself or with Taijima. But when it's with Kiro, he is the goofiest son of a bitch to ever exist in this whole world.
I
And
think you know, it's like the straight laced, like, you know, funny guy moment, right? Kiryu's so like stern, whatever. And then I don't know, it's almost like it plays up the fact that Majima can be so like goofy, whatever.
it's nice. It's nice to see that there's a dichotomy between those two characters, because like you said, he's Kiro's a very stern, no bullshit sort of person. So to see the counterpart of Majima, who comes in and jokes, hides in giant traffic cones, will pat you will pat you down as a fake police officer. It's nice to see, because it gives comic relief is the word I want to use here.
And for like a very heavy series in general, it's needed, right?
It's needed. I remember after I played Kiwami 2, I made the comment of, good Lord, don't be a woman in the Yakuza series.
Right. Oh, for sure.
Well, and I made that joke because, so I'm just going to make this clear. There's going to be a lot of spoilers in this episode, because I want to talk about the story and major plot points. So there's going to be spoilers. If you don't want those, please, please, please go play the games. Go play all of them. Dedicate an entire week to these games and then come back. So, I mean, even in the very end of the first game, we see Haruka's mom just get the axe.
And listen, I love Yumi. Yumi is my girl. Number 1, Yumi stan right here. Love Yumi.
So it was, I made the joke, and then I was like, okay, ha ha ha, you know, things happen. But as it continues on, fucking Taijima's sister dies.
Yep. Love her as well. I'm like, they make these good female characters, right? And then it's just like,
yeah,
just eat them. It's fine.
Yeah, hopefully he didn't get attached
just make
to
a
him.
new one. Yeah.
They do that with so many characters, though. Even in 3, because I know we discussed this. Even in 3, they had oh god, what's his name? They kept calling Kiro a Nikki.
Oh, Rikia.
Yes,
I love him.
Yes, they they had that character and everybody loved him. He was a nice, sweet boy. And then boom, killed him off.
Truth be told, annoyed the hell out of me in the first place because I was like, listen here, you little shit. Don't talk to me this way. But grew on me the whole game. And then, the end, when he gets got, immediately I'm like, no, we've bonded. That's my boy.
I spent so much time getting close to these characters and you're just going to rip them away from me like that?
Right.
This game series has a terrible time of doing that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm drawing a blank. Kiru's best friend in Kiwami, or not, yeah.
Shinji. I love Shinji.
He was, the entire game you build up this thing where you're just like, I feel bad for him because he was just protecting his family.
Oh, are you talking about Nishiki? I'm so sorry.
Yes,
I was thinking about Shinji who died at the end.
No, sorry. I was talking about him, Nishiki. Because I felt I was so happy at the end when he's like, we're going to fight as brothers and we're going to duke this out. Nope, just going to shoot this bomb and kill us all. Like, dude, you had...
On that point,
you had a chance.
Can we discuss the ending of 2 as well?
Yes, we can.
I have such a beef with 2.
Let's speak your truth. Speak your truth right here.
That whole ending, I have said it before, I will say it again. It just didn't make sense to me. I was sitting there like, okay, so they reunited, right? Kaoru and why can't I think of his name? Blondie, right?
Right.
And Ryuji, that's it. I was like, okay, and then they're like, oh, we have to fight. No, you don't. No, you don't have to fight. There's no reason Ryuji has to die here. Absolutely not. And then like, oh, we know the bomb isn't gonna go off. Okay, whatever. Then stop all this. If you know you're safe, like, don't kill Ryuji. Like, we don't have to do this.
That's just the Yakuza series. I've just come to that conclusion. This game likes to play don't get attached to characters because they will fucking off them. It is annoying.
It's always like good characters, right? You have like Ryuji who could have been like a good like recurring villain or whatever, right? He was you had like sympathy for him because of his background, right? Always trying to like, meet up to like his father's expectations or like his adoptive father, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it made for a good villain. Ryuji made for a good villain. And then it's just like, we'll get another one. It's fine. I'm like, no, we can have recurring villains.
We can do that.
Let's keep Ryuji. Bring him back.
We can do that. It's not a big deal. Oh. Okay, if we're going to talk about beef with endings, I want to talk about a certain plot point that happened at the end of 1. So the whole game revolves around Kiru being an orphan. It's a well-known fact. They don't hide it. Nobody knows what happens to his parents. Nobody does. That's fine. Kiru's an orphan. Cool. I'm glad he has a good life now.
Right.
Then Patriarch Daimo, or the head chairman, or whatever the fuck he was.
Yeah.
As he's sitting there holding him, he looks Kiru in the eye and says, Kiru, I got to tell you something before I kick the bucket. I killed your parents. Black. Dead. Like, are you fucking kidding me? We spent this entire game trying to save you, like trying to clear your name. And at the end, you're just like, oh yeah, I killed your parents. Dead.
My whole take on that is like, you haven't told him this long. Just don't say it. Just don't say it. just let him have this.
I thought
I'm like, everything else in his life is falling apart. Just let him have this. That's your burden to bear.
Take it to your grave, man. Please take it to your grave. That could have been something we didn't even have to bring up, but nope. Totally okay with fucking bringing it up on your deathbed.
Devil's advocate here, right? I think it has more so to do that other people knew that he set up that orphanage because it was for the orphans that he created, essentially. And he would rather have Kiryu hear it from him versus someone else.
Okay, that's dark, but that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think
Not
about
like-
that. That is real dark.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I didn't think
That's
about
why
it
there's
that
so
way.
much like, I don't know. There's varying opinions around Kazuma, right? Because he did try to step in, good or bad, right? He didn't always have the best takes or parenting, right? But he
Right.
tried to fill in the gaps of, the parents that Kiryu didn't have. And he tried to teach him what he thought was right and wrong, right? Like the morals that they follow.
Right.
So it's he did what he thought was right, whether it was right or not. That's up for, the player to decide. But I think that's kind of like the standpoint that he's coming from.
I get that. I just think that was a very bad way to handle that.
For sure.
In my opinion, it kind of, for me, it felt like the developers were like, well, we got this big plot point. When are we going to tell them? Like, we have to include it at some point.
You have to have the dramatic, some kind of confession while they die in Kiryu's arms.
Oh,
Always.
this game is fuck guilty as hell. This game is guilty as hell for having those soap opera moments.
Oh, absolutely. I do liken it to like this whole series is a soap opera, right? It's a manly man soap opera is the best way I can describe it, with goofy intermissions.
Oh yeah, that is definitely what it is. I had a
Mhm.
buddy of mine who said, "Hey, explain what Yakuza is to me," and I said, "It is a schlocky '90s Yakuza film with moments that remind you of a comedy."
Mm-hmm.
That is the only way I can describe this game. And he's like, "But you just texted me saying that you were crying at the end of 6." I said, "Look, it has it. You grow with the characters." Like, there was a streamer that I follow that was talking about following Haruka's life from the time she was, how old was she supposed to be in Kiwami? 7?
Something like that.
Like, in that age range.
Mm-hmm.
So you follow her from the time she's 7 till the time she's 20. So of course you're going to build a connection. I mean, they're fictional characters, so, take that with a grain of salt. But you watched her grow up and get kidnapped 18 different times.
I think there's, something to be said. Like, if you read a book, right, you get to know the characters. The longer the series, the more you get attached. It's not that crazy to cry from like a game series, a book series, a TV series, whatever, that you've spent and invested so much time into, right? It's not the craziest thing. So it's just like putting it in that perspective, right? It happens all the time.
Right, and that's this is why I've said that Yakuza has earned a spot in my top 5 favorite game series, because it has been forever since I've actually had a video game make me cry at the end, like full on just tears coming down my face. I had to step away from my computer, and I went to my girlfriend, and she's like, "What's wrong?" I said, "The baby was walking, and then Kira was."
Oh God! Yes.
That's why every time you talk about Gaiden, I'm like, man, I just don't want to get there.
Oh God! Yeah. So I was playing it on stream, right? And me and my friend were just sitting there, like, absolutely ugly crying, glasses fogged, like, just bad. It was bad. So, like, that, totally agree. Cried, relatively normal cry at the end of 6. Gaiden sobbed, just ugly cried, crying.
Man, I don't know if I'm mentally prepared for that. 6 destroyed me.
Yeah, Gaiden's gonna be there.
Well, I'm excited for it. I mean, like, if it breaks me, it breaks me. At least I got It's kind of it's like going into a fight with Mike Tyson and be like, yeah. I mean, I got my ass whooped, but at least it was by a professional boxer, not just
Right.
some Joe Schmo off the street.
Exactly. We should do this again once you finish the other one, because I'm
Oh,
very
definitely.
curious. I'm very curious how, the last, I think you have 3, right? Including 7 to finish. The
Yes.
last 3.
Yes. I'm current. Well,
Soon to
I'm
be
at,
4.
yes, I'm at the, oh, okay. Is that Majima pirate game going to be, like mainline, or is that its own little side
It's
thing?
a side thing that ties into, so it's kind of like Gaiden Manor who erased his name. It's a side story that does tie into the main story. But it's one that you would want to play Infinite Wealth first to know kind of where it's going on.
Got you. Okay. Okay. So Infinite Wealth, then the Majima coming up. Okay. All right.
Yep. So it's kind of like how I said with 7. Could you play Gaiden before 7? Sure, because it's enough of a separate story that it wouldn't really you don't need 7, but there's some, context stuff towards the end of the game that playing 7 would have been more helpful, right?
Yeah, and I'm
Just
a
to know
context
plot-wise where
whore.
it's taking part.
Yeah, I'm a context whore, especially. I mean, I know Kiru's in Infinite Wealth.
Hmm.
Like that's already knowledge for me. So, I'm not going in being like, oh, that got spoiled. Like I seen it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I got told about it, so I'm not exactly surprised. So, all right.
right.
Yeah, I'm down for that. I'm down for that, especially if Gaiden is supposed to break my heart the way that it is.
Yeah, yeah.
So obviously we can't talk about the good without talking about the bad. So we've talked about what your favorite one is. What one could you be like, I played it once and I'm cool if I don't ever touch it again?
That's tough, right? That's tough for me. I'm trying to think because my instinct is 2, but there's so many like mini games and stuff that I just love that that's not true. I hate the ending. So like if I could never play the ending again, that'd be great, right?
And
But
you do have beef with that ending.
I really do. Of all the games, I would probably, if I could play 3 without doing any of the fights, I would do that. Um I know 5 gets some hate. I love 5. That was another thing, right?
K-pop,
Uh
K-pop simulator.
yes. That was the real push to get me through these games, if I'm going to be totally honest with you. Love a rhythm game, really do. Saw my partner playing 5, saw the rhythm game part. I'm like, I need to get to there. I really do. I got to go to there. So, I pushed through. I got back into Kiwami. I was like, all right, I'm gonna figure this out. A lot of it had to do with I didn't understand the Kiwami Bob part and like leveling up the completion point stuff. Once I got that, I was like, oh my god, okay, this makes sense. I'm down. This is great.
I'm still
And
mad they took him
yeah,
away. I'm still upset that they removed him.
I know, and like that's what I'm saying. Let's Kiwami the other games. Let's bring Kiwami Bob back into the other ones. Cause like, okay, do you know anything about Ishin?
I
Uh,
know it's supposed to be set in the 1800s.
yes.
And that's
So
about it.
even
That was another one of those games that
mhm.
I played, but I had zero context of what it was, and I knew nothing about beat 'em ups.
And see, okay, that's fair. That one you could play like just on your own, and it doesn't really matter other than like when a character pops up that's like, aha, hey, it's them, right?
Right.
You don't know,
I know Haruka.
but
I know Haruka
yeah,
pops in at one point, and that's about the only one I know.
yeah, like Akiyama shows up, Ryuji's there, like
Oh,
it's a fun time.
Akiyama.
But like
Akiyama, my
honestly,
sweet boy.
I liken it to like characters in a play. Like the Yakuza characters are playing a part in the game. So like you don't need to know who they are to enjoy it.
But it's one of those, if you know it.
You're like, "Ha, it's so and so."
Ah, thank you for the follow, Hex Demon Hunter. I appreciate it. Thank you. Little side note, sorry for those of you that are listening on the podcast feed. This is also live stream, so sorry, I had to be a little bit of a whore there for a second.
You're good. You're good.
I guess I wanted to enjoy Inshin, but again, that was another one of those. I didn't know anything about beat 'em ups, so all I was doing was going around fighting people, and then I got stuck on a boss and said, "Fuck this! I don't want to do it. I'm done."
I feel like once you kind of understand the leveling and all that from like the other games, it's a little bit easier to get through, because that was another one I did start before I played some of the other games. And I think the context of how the general gameplay works helps a lot.
Yeah, the beat 'em up is definitely what kills it. If you don't know anything, if you don't know anything about how the combat system works, how the fighting styles, how you can change those up, it will throw you off. Absolutely, like it will throw you off completely. Because I know that was a big killer for me when I started off with Zero. I played it and I'm like, I don't understand this combat system. Like the lock-on system took me until 4 to understand. Did not get
You got
any
the
of the
tiger drop down? Just curiosity.
Okay. All right, I'm going to tell you something and I'm going to need you to not laugh at me, okay?
Okay.
Didn't use the tiger drop the entire series.
That's fair. That's fair. It took me way into the series to finally even like moderately consistently land it. And then I can't remember what I was doing, but like finally I'm like, I need to lock this down. Once you lock it down, it makes the game so much easier. All the little dudes you can just one hit down. Let's go.
See, I used it in the beginning of 4. In the beginning of 4 when Kira's a taxi cab driver.
Yep.
I did it once. When I was fighting the guy in the parking lot. Never did it again. Didn't know how I did it. It was one of those, it happened, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it again.
That I feel like that's how it starts, right? You have that one accidental, like, oh, okay. And then you're like, okay,
shit,
how
that
did
was
I do
cool.
that? And then you go, I can't do this. I can't do this again.
Nope.
That's really how it went.
Nope. Was never able to do it ever again, and I was pissed. I still beat the bosses and stuff. And I'm like, man, I wish I knew how to do that one move again. That was sick.
Yep.
So
it's like bumper Y, bumper triangle, I think it is.
I don't know. I'm here in the turn base now, so it really doesn't help me.
Yep, irrelevant now. I know. Once I got to the turn base, I was like, well, everything I knew, I don't know anymore.
Everything I worked so hard to make sure that I learned, like all the combos, all the dodges, all the heat actions. Yeah, fuck it, right out the window.
Yep.
Don't need it anymore.
Yep. Now gotta learn elemental stuff, right?
I'm gonna be honest. I was concerned with this game being turn based. I was extremely worried about this being turn based since the combat in all the other games was so fluent. You were constantly running around and being able to just pick an opponent, fight them, and continue moving, throwing weapons around. But coming to turn-based, it's a lot. It's strategic, which of course turn-based combat, but it doesn't feel slow.
Agree. Yeah.
That
was. I totally agree with you. I was very worried about how the combat would change. If it wouldn't feel so fluid anymore, and 7 made me not so nervous, right? Infinite wealth, and like I said, I went infinite wealth back to 6 and 7, right?
Ooh.
Infinite wealth, they've locked in on that combat and made it so much better than even 7. You'll like it, I think. They've improved some of the I don't know, the things that made it feel a little clunky. And like you probably don't realize it now, but once you get to infinite wealth, I think you'll appreciate the changes they've made.
See, you already sold me the car. You don't need to tell me the windows roll down. Like I'm excited. I'm excited for this. Yeah. I don't want to skimp out on things and then go into the next game and be like, well, when the fuck did this happen? They're like, oh, it's a base element of the story. I'm like, well, when the fuck did it happen then?
Yep. Yep. And like I said, mine was just strictly, I'm so afraid of being spoiled on like big story points. I jump back. Since it's like far enough from the release of like Infinite Wealth, you should be fine, right?
You would think so. You would think so, but with how many times that I've made my opinion very clear on my like stance on spoilers, I'm afraid somebody's going to see one of my posts and be like, "Oh, so it's
Just
been
like
out for
spite spoil.
yeah, spite spoil it." And it's like, wow, it hurts, but I understand it.
Yeah.
Now, if
Like
we're
I said, for the most part, people I've met pretty chill. Hopefully, you just don't get the other chunk of the fandom that's very, I don't know if it's like a protective thing, right, of how the series should be, and like any other take on it, they just go, no, I don't think so.
I think they want to gatekeep this game because this is a very
That's probably
a
true.
lot of a lot of people have dedicated time into this, so obviously the gatekeepers are going to exist. You know, the people that will say, "Oh, I don't want people coming into this series and ruining it." Which I'm sorry,
For
you
sure.
can try and come in this series and ruin it, but it's just not possible. It has too much tenure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think RGG knows what they want to do with the series. We may not agree with every choice they've made, right, as they go along, but in general, I think they love the series just as much. Hell, even down to like the voice actors love their characters and like are to a point. I mean, I'll take, my fave, Majima. I've never seen someone like advocate for their own character and like try and like get them more game time, whatever, like I have with Majima's actor, right?
Right, right.
I'm
I want
like,
I want to know what were those two duck things?
oh, they're okay. There's like little, uh, it's almost like pop, the little pop figures. It's almost like that, but they're tubs, right? They're little ducks.
I
So
love it.
they made like little Kiryu and Majima ones. So there's big ones and then the little mini tubs.
I love them so much. They're so small and cute.
I'm like, I got my pals in front of me while I'm working. I love it.
There was okay. So for this was a so jumping from zero obviously we had the interchangeable characters. You had times you could play
Sure.
as Majima and times you could play as Kiryu. Didn't see any changes in that until we hit number 4 where we got introduced into one of my personal favorites, Mr. Akiyama himself.
Love
The
Akiyama.
the lone shark with a heart. Oh, I could. That's one of those. I could definitely get a Akiyama guided and not. You wouldn't hear me say a single complaint about that game.
And I think there's a great opportunity. I'm not going to talk about it. It's spoiler zone for you. I think there's a great opportunity, and I think you'll figure it out when you get to it. Oop, I hit my mic. I think you'll figure it out when you get to it. There's a great opportunity. There is a great gap, right, where we could learn what was going on
Oh please,
for Akiyama specifically.
please,
It would be good. There's a game in there somewhere.
please give me a game. I'm just glad in 5 they didn't bring the cop back.
And
The cop character.
That's one of my beefs with 4, I think. Basically, I feel like they just kind of slapped him in because it just
right. He didn't feel like he fit
as
in.
fleshed out.
It felt like they kind of just threw him in to be like, all right, well, we got Akiyama, who is happened to be there when the fort. How much was it? Was it 10 billion?
Yeah, 10 billion.
Yeah, when the 10 billion incident happened and the Millennial Tower exploded. Yeah, he got all of that money and started his whole career out. That made sense. Taijima, he had ties to the Tojo clan way before anything else. That made sense. The cop, his dad got shot. What the fuck? Where does that intertwine with the rest of the story?
And like, can we discuss? I could be remembering wrong. You've played it more recently than I have. Wasn't he supposed to be Date's partner at the end of it? End of 4?
Yes.
Like, where'd he go?
Yes.
What happened?
I
I'm
really
like, I don't
think people
remember
just
him
didn't like him
getting
enough.
referenced again.
Nope. Nobody ever talks about him ever again. Not a single mention of him in not a single mention of him in 5 or 6.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, we see Date again. Couldn't just throw in a line like, oh, he went to do this. Like they did with Kaoru, right?
Yeah.
Sayama. I'm like, she went to America. Okay, great.
All right, cool.
Kiryu's one true love that they keep referencing back to. You'll get there.
Oh, and that they had the love. I wanted to reach through my computer screen.
Mm-hmm.
So in the beginning of 4, we have taxi cab driver Kiryu. And he would go back to his apartment and there'd be this woman here. There'd be this woman there who was like, I just want to be here. I want to take care of you. He's like, go home. Go away from me.
Bro's having nothing to do with it.
And the entire time I wanted to reach through, like, just let this woman love you, Kiryu. You have been through enough. Let her love you.
Can we discuss? Okay. This is my hater opinion. I have a hater opinion.
Oh,
2. Back to 2. It's always with 2. It's always 2 with me.
You got beef with 2.
I really do, because I'm like, it's... I will die on this hill. Kaoru was a rebound. You know what I mean? I'm like, they were both there. Ooh. It was a moment. It had to happen. He had just lost Yumi. Like, I get it. It makes sense. But I'm like, I didn't think it was anything more than that. They had a thing. It was fine. Whatever. Kiryu's been a Yumi guy from like the jump. That has been his flame, right? That's the one thing he can't let go of. No,
I didn't think about that until you said it, but now that I'm like replaying all of the scenes, I'm like, oh, you ain't wrong on that.
Mm-hmm. I'm like, this is a rebound relationship. It absolutely, had to happen, whatever. But like, no, he can't get over Yumi. That's it.
No, especially since he's raising Haruka. Like, no, that ain't happening. There is no way that this man forgets about Yumi. No way. No. I did like, so at the end, she gave him a line that I absolutely loved was, every day I prayed to see you again, even if it was for a little bit. And if that
made me cry. I was like, in the feels, man.
That tore my heartstrings so bad. Because she's like, and I got my wish. I seen you one last time, and now I can die happy. I'm like, no, you don't. You don't need to die. You can stay alive. We can be one big happy family. Right. You, Kiryu, and Haruka. Of course, woman in a Yakuza game has to die.
Of course. And especially, a nice, strong character. Or even like Kaoru, I wouldn't have cared if she kept like showing up. I'm like, as a character, I like her. I'm like, it's the outside factor of like people trying to make it more than it was. I'm like, I don't know how you read this any differently. I'm like, this is some feelings getting out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but like, I'm like, let's you build these great like female characters. There's a lot of like strong females in the series, and you don't use them. They like either get tossed to the side. Kaoru went to America. They die. You know what I mean? I'm like, I feel like it's not until 7 where you get a little more like consistency, fleshed out characters, and like they keep them, right?
Yeah, the character that comes into your party, which if you've been watching the gameplay on the screen, I'm just doing dungeon crawling, so this is not important whatsoever. But the main girl that you have going with you, that's the hostess of the club.
Mm-hmm.
That was working at the hostess club fucking game. Yeah, I'm gonna put a pin in that because I want to come back to that. But she's actually a well fleshed out character. Like, she has goals and aspirations. She wants to help her sister out. She wants to figure out why the guy got murdered, which is kind of the premise of this entire the entire first half of the game.
For sure.
So it's nice that we're actually getting fleshed out characters beyond just Haruka getting the female spotlight.
Yes. And I'm like, I don't know. They build these good characters. Love Saijuma's sister, right? Would have loved to have her for longer than one game.
Same.
Yumi, of course.
Yumi, can't speak ill of Yumi.
Yeah, can't. Absolutely not. But I'm just like, it would have been great to have aside from Haruka, of course, right? Haruka and the other kids at the orphanage. Just one returning lady, but that we didn't get that until 7. That's fine.
Which I don't know, but I always, whenever I think about how female characters are utilized in this, I have to remember that they're showing it from a very male-dominated world.
Yeah. And let me correct myself. Party Granny keeps coming back. You thought she might be dead? Absolutely not. The purple-haired I don't know if you did the sub story, but I know she can work at the hostess club. Anyway, she's got purple hair, a tiger or some sort of wildcat print shirt. She keeps coming up.
She's in the very beginning, isn't she? Isn't she the one that gives you a Nanba a place to stay in the very beginning of the game?
No, she's actually a different one. Actually. Oh. But she's like all the way back in like 0. It's a sub story though, so I think you could miss her, but she shows up in multiple games. I'm gonna
have to go back. I'm gonna have to go back through and play that.
Let me see if I can I'll send you a picture. She has a name and everything, but I've called her Party Granny the whole time.
I dig the name Party Granny. I will now refer to nothing else but Party Granny. So while you're looking that up, I'm going to discuss a beef of mine that my hatred for 3 started with. The fucking Cabaret Club.
Oh, it's such a disappointment.
Okay. So with 0, we had a very, 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 very fun Cabaret Club minigame. Wasn't too complicated. It was fun. It let me live out my dreams of managing a cabaret club. Let me run it.
For sure.
1, did the same thing. 2, flesh that out to a T.
Mm-hmm.
The little minigame where you ran your own cabaret club in a whole championship sort of setting. Loved that entire series. That entire storyline. Beautiful. I don't know what in 3 decided them to be like, hey, you know what's good? Makeup simulator, doll simulator, dress up simulator. That's what we need to replace the cabaret club with. That's what'll really draw the people in. It's so boring. Like, I already don't like doing the hostess club missions.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. I'm not a dating simulator kind of person. So so stuff like that, it's like, okay, well, this is a thing I have to do.
Obviously not for me, because I'm like, you just have the perspective of like, they probably don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. We're just talking because we have to. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I don't know. I hated it. I hated it so much. And like, I did it for like, some of them you needed to do a sub story for it. And I was like 100%ing the sub stories as I went through the games. And I was just like,
and that's a trek.
So awkward.
That's
it's
a trek.
So awkward.
If you know the 100% curse with YAKUZA, it is a trek.
And like
some of them.
The evilest thing they did was make the completion list part of like platinuming the game for like a good chunk of them. And I'm like, I hate this. I hate this so much. I don't want 100% the completion list. I still can barely play Mahjong, right? Can't do it.
Fuck that.
I understand the fundamentals, but like all of the like special ways to go out and all that, don't get it. And then what's the chess one? I haven't played chess since I was a kid.
I know.
Shogi.
Yes, Shogi. Yep.
I haven't played chess since I was a kid, so like I'm already starting off on the wrong foot.
That might be one of those times where you look up a guide to beat it.
Oh yeah. And like
Wholesale accept it.
the gambling ones, I'm like, it's all luck, right? So like you have to hope you get a good hand. I know there's like some people will like restart and load the game so they don't lose chips and all that, but I'm like, it's so time consuming.
That's so much to just gamble.
Exactly. I'm like, there's no strategy. Like you just have to be lucky. You have to get a good hand to start out and then go from there.
Unless you use
can
the
use
cheat items.
And then so that does work, right? But then if you run out and you still need to do more, what the hell do? You just got to suffer through.
I can't do that. That and the cabaret. The shogi and the mahjong. I refuse to do those.
Yep.
Those are too random.
That's how
for
I
me.
was. I'm like, and now that I'm like actually considering like platinuming these games, I'm like, okay, I gotta figure this out, and I'm not happy about it.
Girl, you and me both. I want to start back. I have 0, 1, and 2 re-downloaded. I'm like, do I really?
Yeah.
How bad do I want these platinums? How bad do I want 100% these games?
I'm starting out with Kiwami. I have the completion list at like 89%, but like most of it that's left is just things I don't want to do. I'm like, this sucks, man.
I feel that. And I know I'm gonna have to go through 3 at some point, and then I'm gonna have to do the big beefy boy of 5.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah.
3. Let me talk about 3. The golf stuff. So like I think I got Haruka's trust level up to max, and part of that is just doing the real golf thing. Like there was like the bingo golf in 0, I think. Anytime you're in Sotenbori, right? They have the little golf center or whatever.
Yeah.
And the bingo golf I can do. That's fine. When it's like actual golf, I want to scream. It made me so mad. I had to take it off stream. I'm like, this is not going well. I finally got it. But like some of the little like challenges they wanted you to do, ooh, I was ready to fight.
Which one was I doing? I was doing one of the pocket racer missions. And I don't know what, I just think I had one part that was not compatible with the others. Every time I tried it, my car just went fucking right off the side. I put my controller down. I'm like, if I have to do one more race where I lose, I'm going to shit whip something and break something expensive.
I'm like, sometimes you just gotta step away. It ain't worth it.
That's how I felt doing the home run challenges.
Oh,
okay. Yeah, if you miss
baseball.
one, if you miss one, you're fucked. Like you're not going back. You got to do it again.
Now, are you playing on the PC? I will give you a tip.
Please do.
Okay, if you're playing on the PC, keyboard and mouse. You can use the mouse. Makes baseball a lot easier if you're struggling with controller.
I'm gonna have to do that because that's the only one that the mahjong and all that shit. That's the only reason I'm not able to beat those home run challenges.
Yeah, someone told me that because like obviously I'm playing for the most part with the controller, so like I didn't even think about it. But they're like, I had to use the mouse, and I was like, you can use the mouse. Hold on, and yeah,
hold on, wait.
The same with your mouse click. Done.
Well, this game reminds you that only real Yakuza use controller.
So true.
Every single game.
In that moment, you know, when it gets hard, I'm not a real Yakuza. You bust out the mouse.
No. The home run challenge. Nope. I am
There's
nowhere
something
near
on the
real
completion
Yakuza.
list in Kiwami that I had no idea you could do because for the most part I do use the controller, but there's like a you can hit 2 panels at once.
What?
If you hit it like right in the middle.
What?
And I just learned that this week for real. It was like you had to do 10 of those for the completion list. And I'm like, you can hit them in the middle? Hold on.
Oh, you have just changed so much about this game for me.
Yeah. So I'm like, that would have helped getting points when I was struggling to get some points if I knew just to aim at the middle. What the hell?
It's probably this was one thing I wanted to discuss after playing Like a Dragon, because I didn't really think about this until I started playing as Ichiban.
Mm.
The difference between Ichi and Kiru is night and day,
Yes.
but it's the same, and I absolutely love it. So when I brought this up, I had only been playing a max of a couple hours, so I got very base level Ichi. But now that I'm getting farther in and I'm seeing more of his personality fleshed out, there are gigantic similarities, but in the same breath, the similarities are also huge differences.
For sure.
With
I
Kiru,
think it's interesting. Go ahead.
with Kiro, a lot of it just seemed he was annoyed that he had to do it.
For sure.
Like he was very
it was his
irritated
burden
that he
to
had,
bear, right?
yes.
And he acted as such.
Whereas Ichi, it's like, I'm doing this because you need help.
Mm-hmm.
Well, because a lot of people say, well, Ichi, you don't need to do this, and he's like, okay, but I'm going to. What's your point? Don't tell me I can't do something. Who the fuck are you?
And like, it's definitely like just perspectives, right? Kiryu, I think, like you said, it's heavy for him. Like the whole concept of everything he has to do to protect the people around him primarily, right? It's a heavy burden, and he acts that way. Ichi, you start out going, he wants to be the hero. He loves it. He
Dragon
wears
Quest.
it as a badge of honor, right? And
wants to be a hero like Dragon Quest. That's his goal.
that's it. And so when he, sees these things that come up, he's like, well, who else will do it? Like, obviously, I'm going to take care of it because I can, right? Even if I don't know how, I will figure out a way, because who else can take care of it?
And I should have seen that. I should have seen it coming when the very beginning. He's like, yeah, I spent an entire year playing Dragon Quest, and I was like, oh, so that's why it's turn based. Gotcha. Yep. I thought it was just something weird.
I even love down to like the gameplay mechanics, right? That they took that into the account between the two characters. I thought that was such a unique little twist to give reasoning why it went turn based, right?
Right, and because with Kira, it's just like, I'm gonna fight. I know how to fight. But with Ichi, it's like, I play Dragon Quest. I know how to do those type of fights. You're like, you're such a goober, and I love it.
I know. I'm like, it just added even a touch more charm to it, right? It's just, I'm like, Ichi is not Kiryu. They have, same morals, different execution. I think is really the way it is.
I would have been upset if I came into Like a Dragon and they just made Kiru Part 2.
Yeah.
Like didn't give him no different personality. It was still the rough rugged fighter who is trying to find his way in the world, doesn't know anything about the YAKUZA, doesn't know how to handle anything. I think that would have upset me more than how they handle Ichi. Because they make him a lovable. He's a goofy fucker. He's goofy.
And like, it's like they realized how heavy the games felt when you have such a serious protagonist, right? Did they make up for it by having like the silly goofy things that happen in like the sub stories and like characters that you run across in the game? Absolutely. They had the comic relief. But with Ichi, it just doesn't feel, there are heavy parts, but it doesn't feel heavy, if that makes sense.
It doesn't feel so days of our lives.
Mm-hmm.
It feels more of like, oh, this is a serious moment and I need to treat it as such.
Yes.
Not just this is just another plot point for this is more character development for Kiru. That's all it is.
Right.
These feel more like, oh, this is a serious moment. I need to treat it like how they want me to view it.
Yes. And like, what was I gonna say? Ichi, I feel like there was a way that they could have gone way too far in this direction and almost kind of ruined the feeling of the series, right? Because
Right.
regardless of who you're playing, it's emotional, right? And I feel like there was a way that they could have made Ichi that just kind of took that feeling out of it, that reason that people get so invested and like attached to these games. But
yeah,
again,
they could have just made him
RGG
crack jokes.
killing it.
Yeah, they could have just made him crack jokes the entire time. Like no seriousness whatsoever. Even, I mean, dude grew, and one of my favorite things that they bring up is that he was raised in a whorehouse. Like they don't hide it.
Right.
They make it like, yeah, he was raised in a whorehouse. Yep. And I think that's one of the reasons that it gives it that little bit of charm.
Mm-hmm. And
instead of Kiru, who's just, my parents died, I was an orphan, and I got taken in by a YAKUZA.
And like Kiryu, it's definitely like a hunt for family is pretty much his main driving force, right?
Yep,
and protecting the
6.
family he creates, right?
Yep. End of 6.
Yeah, yes. And Ichi, I feel like Ichi is just more, I don't know, he's more open to like letting people in. Like obviously you create a whole party, all of that. He's naive in the best way. You know what I mean? Like he always tries to see the best in people, where Kiryu was much more guarded, and like if he let someone in, it was like after not necessarily they prove themselves, but you know what I mean.
It was you say like not prove themselves, but it was definitely prove themselves, because it wasn't, oh, I trust you because of that. It's like, okay, well, I fought people with you, or I've went through these traumatic events that have bonded us. So yeah, you proved yourself.
Kiryu is the trauma bond family is really what it comes down to.
For real. And Ichi is the cousin that's like, hey, welcome to the barbecue. Grab a plate.
Yeah.
Who are you? Who'd you come with? Yeah, I don't know him. Anyways, food's on the table. Go grab some.
Exactly.
But it's not. It is. I keep coming back to this. The more I play this, and the more I get through the story, it's just nice to not see a Kiru part 2. It's nice to see their own character they decided, and I'm excited to see where this game goes, because obviously this is me just going off of Like a Dragon, like the one I'm currently on right now. If they do more of this, I will understand. If they do the whole Ichi becomes more cold and bitter as the games go on, but I would be upset if that happened, because that's kind of his charm.
I won't say anything. I got nothing. I'm not going to give you a positive or negative response. I will let you explore.
Please do. Please. That's one of the shitty parts, is because I know there's a lot coming up, and that's why I'm trying to get through these games. Like, not burn through them, but I want to get through them. So, because like, unfortunately right now you're going to be my go-to person to talk to about these games. So like,
love that. Always happy to chat.
Just, and I know the Pocket Racer guy is the guy at Dragon Kart. I didn't need to hear it. But that character, the character model is too close to anything else. As soon as I went back there, I was like, that looks familiar. Who the hell is that? And then I went through and was looking at other stuff. Like, that's the fucking Pocket Racer guy.
Right. And like honestly, so happy to see Fighter. Always happy to see Fighter when he comes up. Was happy to see him in 6. Just happy. I'm like that was my bestie from the jump. I was like, great, we're gonna do some car racing. It's gonna be great.
I was
And then
mad at how they treated him in 6.
yeah, I know. I'm like, okay. And then it did kind of have a positive ending, but I'm like, you leave my boy alone.
Why you gotta be such a dick to him? What did he do?
Mm-hmm.
My man's just trying to be a good
Race
dad.
cars. Right.
He's being
And
a
then
good
he had
dad. Why you guys being
the
an
fact
asshole?
that and the fact that he had to like hide his car little pocket circuit stuff so his son could be very serious and studious and all it was gonna be a beautiful bonding moment when they raced their little pocket circuit cars together. He can be both.
I wanted to see it. I wanted to see that happen.
I know.
But the game's like, no, we already have enough family stuff here. We'll save that one for later. Like, god damn. You had a chance.
I know.
You had a chance to get me, and you didn't. And you took it right
They're
away from
like,
me.
we'll get you later, don't worry.
I hope so, you bastards.
But yeah, I every time Fighter comes up, so just happy to see him. Happy he's there.
I like
That reminds me.
I liked how that was a consistent character through 0 into
Yeah.
Kiwami though. That was nice.
I'm like, it's nice to have that little familiarity, right? The little characters that pop up. They're so good at that. To have the little callbacks to previous games, whatever, with just characters popping up. Not really for anything important, just to like,
Just
hey,
nice little
it's
side.
so and so again. Yeah.
This game series really knows how to play the we'll bring back people that aren't detrimental to the story, but you'll recognize them when they come up and you get that little bit of like, oh, I remember them. That was a fun time I had with them.
Like Party Granny.
I'm trying to remember Party Granny and I can't. It's bothering me.
Listen, people, I did send her in a Discord, but people hate that she keeps showing up, but I don't know. I was doing the cabaret club. It was a good time.
Well, people like
She
to
was the
complain
top
about
one.
reoccurring characters for some reason. I don't understand it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know they announced a new game that they're at the Game Awards this last year. And
Yes.
I was watching the gameplay, I'm like, I know this type of gameplay. I can't put my finger on it. And then it showed their company logo at the end. I said, you motherfuckers are the ones that made it. I knew it from somewhere.
Also, can I recommend eventually the Fists of the North Star game they made? It's pretty fun.
Oh shit, they're the ones that made Fist of the North Star?
The one that was like, I think PS4.
No, all right. Well, I know well now I have that, and I also have the Judgment games. Those are on my radar.
Yes.
Because I've seen I've been seeing that you've been playing that on stream, and I've been wanting to give that a chance.
Yes, definitely do. Judgment, the first one, has a really good story. So you're playing Yagami, who's like a private detective. You do like a bunch of little like side, detective missions, but the main one is of course very dramatic and all that, right?
As in
he's
fashion,
also
a
of lawyer.
Okay.
So like, yeah, he was a lawyer, or he was a lawyer, and then he stopped practicing, became a private. They obviously go more into detail of why all that happened, but
Right.
so I don't know. It's fun. I've been having fun with it. I'm on Lost Judgment right now, still towards the beginning of the game. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. Of course, lots of fun mini games. There's drone racing, which is different.
What?
Yeah, yeah. Because like for part of the private investigation stuff, for some of them you have to use your like drone to like try and like peeky spy, right? And it's fun. It's interesting. They added new mechanics because it would just make sense, right?
Of course.
For what you're doing, there's more like stealthy stuff, right? Because obviously you don't want to get caught. But still lots of fighting. It's still a beat 'em up.
Right, like you don't want to take it to you don't want to just make it a Yakuza game and just smack some new paint on it. You want to give it its own
Right.
little area, cuz I know it I was reading a little bit about it and it said it's stuck with Kamuroucho. Like you're still in
Yep.
that area.
That's another thing I would love to touch on. How all of the locations are almost a character and like you go with them the whole game. Like once you've played one area in one game, you like know it, right?
Right. It's nice. It's nice that I don't have to learn 85 different maps. It's so
Literally. I'm like
beautiful.
every new game, there's always your one central like Kamurocho you go back to. They might add, new areas, whatever, but you always have one place right?
Kamuroucho, and I know that place like the
Mhm.
back of my hand now.
Yep. I know. And like it's like modeled after the city they made it on, right? And you can like this is what I've heard. I have no, way to confirm it myself. But you almost like know the area when you're there, right?
Right.
So it's like I don't know, it's crazy. It's crazy they went to that detail.
Well, one of the things I brought up when I first reviewed these games was I
Mhm.
said you can definitely tell how heavy they wanted the city to be. The very first
Mhm.
game, like there's not a whole in Kiwami, there's not a whole lot of people, but you can tell it's lived in.
Mhm.
Like you can tell there is something going on where a lot of people don't want to be out and about and in the public eye. And then you
Right.
go on to Kiwami 2, where it's still Kamuroucho, but now you see more civilians walking around. It kind of has a little bit
Mhm.
more life to it, not just a random ass town that you're in.
Right.
And that was my favorite part because it gave it a lot more life than just being a place that you're at. And that and,
Agree.
and
And
that's
like
whoop,
I was gonna say, even as they change like some of the places you can go and all that through the games, it's like you actually live there, right? Because you're just complaining, oh yeah, when they took away the bowling alley and put so and so in. You know what I mean? It's funny how it becomes like a part of the experience.
it is. I mean, especially when you know it like the back of your hand, because that's a problem I see with a lot of other video games is they'll give you a
Mhm.
world and want you to invest all of this time to it. Like know
Yes.
every little nook and cranny about it, and then they come out with a second one a year or two later, and it's a whole new world. Doesn't even have you
And
go back to that world to revisit it.
that's something even the studio themselves have commented on that like that's part of the reason they're able to push out games so quickly is because they're like, we've already built this world. Like, why do we need to reinvent the wheel as far as that goes every game? Like,
Right, it's like we
you can
got this.
improve it,
We have this down. We know what it looks like.
but this is this is where the story takes place. You don't need to, reinvent it each time.
Yeah, and even the little towns, like the little side
Hmm.
areas, like the docks you go to or the construction sites. It
Yes.
doesn't feel like an area that's out of place. It still feels
No.
like
Yeah.
it's connected to the main hub of where you're at.
Hmm.
They
Absolutely.
they have knocked it out of the park with the way they do world building with these games.
Hmm. Totally agree. I mean, I think it's something some studios could like definitely, especially for these kind of like story games, could definitely take some like pointers on because like it shouldn't be like a reboot each time like you have to learn everything all over again if it's like a second iteration. You
No,
can like
hell
build
no.
on what you have and like extend, absolutely. But like it
It
doesn't
doesn't have
hurt
to
to
be the
have your
same.
base.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be the same, but like you don't need to throw all these different things out to make it
Mm-hmm.
new or to make it better, to make it more enjoyable. You don't have to do that, I
Exactly.
promise you. Because all you're doing is stressing these people out. Like I just spent, especially with a game these size, because you know the amount of time it takes to 100% these games is close to the
Mm-hmm.
60, 70 hour range. So I'm sorry, but if I'm going to be doing all of that, I don't want to try and learn a whole new map.
Absolutely.
Especially, oh god, the fucking Roomba. Sorry, like I said, while we're doing this, I am also streaming this, so we're doing a little dungeon crawling, and fuck this Roomba. Fuck it.
Absolutely. And I totally recommend for this one, do your dungeon crawl because it helps. It helps in endgame. Absolutely.
But I'm hoping my hope here. Fuck. My hope here is that I can get Gaiden and Infinite Wealth, and then start the whole completion run.
Yeah. Yeah, I was not going to try and 100% it. The sub stories were important to me to like play through all of them, but other than that, I was like, I don't need to 100% these as we go. I would like to experience the story first before I worry about any of that.
Right,
I
because
know some of the
these games
earlier
have
ones.
life. These games have life.
Yeah.
They have, that makes you feel like the people in these games are actual people, not just
Yes.
NPCs.
Absolutely. And like you almost want to know like every little weird detail that you can get from these characters because they've put so much thought into these people that you're like, "Oh, okay. That's cool. I
Yeah,
didn't
oh,
know that."
that's
As you
nice.
go.
That guy who just came to you and bragged about getting all 21 certificates. Like he's
Yep.
doing it because he wants to impress the front desk
Mhm.
clerk. It's nice. It's sweet. And you do it,
It's
and I hate doing this, but like it's a lot of the things that the studio has done with Yakuza and now the Like a Dragon series. I wish more game developers would look at it like that.
yeah.
Because
I think
there's
there's
a
a
reason
lot
that
to
this
be
game.
learned.
Oh yeah, there's a reason this game has earned the love and admiration that it's got.
And it's funny. It's not like that's an uncommon thing for like studios to do. Like to take all the Souls-like games that came out like one after the other, right? Take that and do that with RGG. Like learn something from their storytelling. Don't recreate it obviously. Like don't try and be RGG, but like just take a little piece from it and go, "Okay. Give it a new perspective."
Don't reinvent the wheel.
Mhm.
It's that. Do not reinvent the wheel if it's already like if you already have a perfect formula, don't fuck with
Mhm.
it. Don't try and make it something that it doesn't need to be. Because
And
then
I
all
will
you're
say go ahead.
because then all you're doing is just you're touching on a game that doesn't need it. And now it makes no
Mhm.
sense. And people are going to be like,
Yep.
"Well, it wasn't like it was good, but it wasn't as good as say the first one or the second one."
I still want to play the OG one or whatever. Yeah. And like RGG, I feel like has been very consistent about going, we have a, system going that our players like and they make changes, right? But it's not changing the foundation of, what their
What gave the
gamers
game
like
its
to see.
life? Yeah.
Mhm.
What gave this game its, I hate to use the word again, but what gave the game its reputation
Mhm.
as having this story that stands out, or having these characters that make you feel something. Like if they get shot or hurt, you're like, "Oh no. Oh, please don't let something happen to my sweet baby boy."
Right.
That's I would love to say that I don't want to sit here and praise this game, but that's what I want to do, is praise the way that it was made, the company for what they're doing. Just this game has earned its spot as a
Mhm.
classic. And I think with the Like a Dragon
Absolutely.
series, it's going to keep going. I see
I
no signs
would
of it
agree
slowing
as well.
down.
And there's like obviously criticisms to be had with each game, you know, maybe handling some of the story stuff, of course. But overall, I think they've provided a consistent experience that you can expect that overall you will have a good time playing the games. You might not agree with all the story decisions, whatever, but overall you'll enjoy your playthrough, right?
Oh yeah, and if you're a completionist nerd, you're going to want to be like, well, I seen all these mini games, and now I got to see
Mhm.
if I can get anything from them. Which 9 times out
Right.
of 10, you get something interesting with it, or at least if not an interesting item, then you at least get an interesting story tagged along with it. Like pocket racing might not be your thing, but the
Mhm.
story of the guy trying to find his predecessor to continue
Yep.
the pocket racing legacy is so intriguing to watch him try to find somebody that has the same passion that he does.
Yes.
Or
And
the
also,
or the little girl in 6 who was a giant fan of Haruka but got told
mhm.
that she couldn't be a fan of Haruka anymore because big bad Yakuza man raised her.
Yeah. Oh, that got me. That got me. I was like, "Oh, sweet little baby, it's okay."
He's not a bad man, he just gets a bad
Mhm.
rap.
That's right. And when you were talking about Pocket Circuit there, that reminded me. So I told you I played Kiwami and Kiwami 2 first, right?
Yes.
And seeing his friends that he reunited with, right, at Pocket Circuit as you're going through trying to find the predecessor. When I tell you I went back to 0 and found out these people were children, I'm like, listen, Kiryu, this is sad. This is sad. Your little buddies that you met up with later were just little babies.
We're
You
just
you beating children at car racing. This is sad, bud.
it's kind of funny because and one of the things that I love that they give with Kiru is
Uh-huh.
the the seriousness with everything. There's
Yes,
nothing he interacts with that does not get his utmost serious attitude towards. Like
absolutely.
you're beating kids in pocket racing, but you just act like you won the fucking NASCAR
It is
5.
life and death. It is life and death for this man.
And that's the charm of Kiru.
Mm-hmm.
That is just the charm of Kiru at this point. All right. Well,
He's so funny.
I think we're coming to the end of the show here. So, since I know you like to do the whole streaming thing as well, would you like to throw
Yes,
your link in chat and explain who you are, what you do, why you're here?
absolutely. I am yours truly, Mandaleigh. I stream Sunday through Thursday at 8 p.m. Central. I play a lot of story-based games. Right now we're working through Lost Judgment and the PSP, the second PSP Yakuza game. Can't say the name, but uh, it's another Like a Dragon. Um, and what else? We're kind of changing up because I got my new computer all set up. So we're playing some gotcha games, all of that. So I do that over there at, let me drop the link.
Hold on, give me a second. I gotta make sure the link is proper because if I type it wrong, it'll just
I
look
got you.
look, even the bot didn't say anything. Hell yes.
Didn't
Blessed.
kick me out. Let's go.
Blessed. Hell yes.
But yeah, so if you like especially the Yakuza series, we're doing Lost Judgment and like I said, the second PSP Yakuza game. I'm eventually gonna try and get Dead Souls to work. I really want to play through it. I got through about half before it just started crashing to the point I couldn't progress. So
Ooh.
if you like that, probably gonna get back into Dragon Age at some point too. But that's probably gonna be after Pirate Majima. So
I
that's what we're up to over there.
I know I thought I had more time before Pirate Majima. I had a little bit
I
more
know,
time.
literally today, it's a month and 2 weeks. Not that I'm counting.
Fuck. Fuck.
And that whole thing, it was supposed to come out February 28th, right? But I
Right.
guess Monster Hunter is coming out the 28th. So they bumped it up a week. I was like, very considerate of you.
Well, you're battling for people's attention, and that's a bad idea. That is a terrible idea.
It was a smart move on their part. If they were ready and they could do it, drop it. That's another thing. I remember when Gaiden came out and even Infinite Wealth, there was not the traditional like patch update until like a while after. So I was like, okay, you released a complete game. Good for you. They're very good at that.
Well, again, they know what they're doing. They've been doing this since the PS2 days, so they're like, we got our shit down. We don't got to worry about
We're locked in.
Yeah, we don't got to worry about day one patches or releasing a game that you won't be able to burn through on the first playthrough.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
It's,
let me.
Yeah.
Before
it feels rare these days.
Well, before I say that one too loud, so one of my favorite things I got to bring up about 6 is there's a lot of you kill an enemy, and they will sit midair and just fucking spin for a solid 2 minutes, and I laughed.
That's true.
Belly laughed because of it. But it's not a game breaking breaking bug. It's just one of those funny to watch.
Yeah.
The
the ragdoll
spins.
in general throughout all the games, it just makes me laugh because sometimes they just land in the most ridiculous ways. It's beautiful.
Mine is always like they get hit out of nowhere and then just scorpion.
Yeah.
Like the attack you did was not even hard enough to do that, but the game's just like scorpion. Spine broke.
Yep. It's over.
But all right, I appreciate you for being a guest, actually the first guest on this show. I appreciate you.
Yay. All right. Well, I am so happy you asked. Like I said, anytime you want to yap about Yakuza, I'm down.
Well, right. I'm gonna plan once. So all right, we'll work on it this way then. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get through. I don't know about Inshin. I don't know if I'm gonna include Inshin in this. I might just go mainline. So we're gonna do Like a Dragon Gaiden, Infinite Wealth, and then the Majima Pirate game. We're gonna burn through those ones, and then we'll come back and revisit and talk about those 3.
Sounds great.
Especially if Gaiden is supposed to break my heart like you keep saying it's going to.
Yep. I can't wait for that message. It's going to get you. I'm so sure.
Please don't. But all right. Thank you very much for joining me. I appreciate it. You have a great one.
Thank you so much for having me. You as well. Bye.
Peace. That was a blast. That was fun. That was first guess on Sake and Smokes. I think that went real well. So I think